It started as a laugh, a harmless prank among friends. But by the time the night was over, one person would be dead, and the others would wish they'd never picked up their phones. On a quiet Friday night in the small suburban town of Alder Creek, 4 friends gathered at the edge of a dimly lit parking lot. They weren't troublemakers, at least not in the dangerous sense. More like the kind of people who lived for dares, challenges, and elaborate practical jokes. The kind that made it onto social media and got just enough likes to keep them going. But this prank wasn't meant to go viral. It wasn't even meant to leave the circle of friends. Among them was Tyler James, the ringleader, charismatic, quick-witted, and always with a camera in hand. Beside him, Ryan and Derek, his 2 oldest friends from school. And then there was Emily, Tyler's girlfriend, who hated the idea from the start but stayed because, as she would later say, "I didn't want to be the one to ruin the night." The prank was simple, fake a kidnapping. Tyler had it all mapped out. Ryan would hide in the back of the target's car, Derek would distract them, and Emily would film from a distance. The target? Max Carter, a mutual friend known for being jumpy and overly dramatic. They wanted to get him good, scare him for a few minutes, and then reveal it was all a joke. But here's the part no one saw coming. Max wouldn't be the one who ended up screaming. As Ryan quietly slipped into the trunk of Max's car, none of them noticed the dark SUV parked across the street, with someone watching. Tyler's plan had layers, fake blood packets, a mask, even a fake knife. They wanted realism without real harm. Ryan's job was to pop out from the trunk at the perfect moment, grabbing Max and pretending to drag him away. Emily's job was to record everything from her phone for proof. They spent nearly an hour going over timing. The more they rehearsed, the more Emily's discomfort grew. "What if he freaks out for real?" she asked. "That's the point," Tyler laughed. But it wasn't the kind of laugh that eased her worries. At 9:17 p.m., Max arrived at the parking lot, parking under a flickering streetlight. Derek approached him casually, pretending to need help with a flat tire. Meanwhile, Ryan lay cramped inside the trunk, holding his breath. Everything seemed to be going perfectly, until Emily caught movement in the corner of her eye. The same SUV from earlier was still there, still idling. Its headlights were off, but she swore she saw a faint glow from the driver's seat. She almost spoke up. Almost. Ryan's text popped up on Tyler's phone from inside the trunk. "Someone else is here. I don't think it's Maximum." Tyler shrugged it off. "Probably just some random driver," he whispered, more to convince himself than anyone else. But moments later, their plan derailed. Max never made it to his car. Before he could, the SUV door opened, and a man stepped out. Tall, wearing a hoodie pulled low over his face. He moved quickly, cutting across the lot. Emily's phone shook in her hand as she whispered, "That's not Maximum." The man didn't even look at Derek or Tyler. He walked straight to Max's car, unlocked it somehow, and slid into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life. Inside the trunk, Ryan froze. The plan had been to prank Maximum. But now Ryan was being driven away by a complete stranger. Tyler sprinted forward, yelling for the car to stop, but the SUV followed close behind, blocking his path. The sound of tires screeching echoed through the lot. Emily screamed Ryan's name. Derek pulled out his phone to call 911, but Tyler stopped him. "We can fix this," Tyler insisted. But Emily wasn't buying it. This wasn't a prank anymore. This was a kidnapping. Inside the trunk, Ryan's breathing quickened. It was pitch black, the air hot and stale. He could feel the car turning sharply, accelerating. He fumbled for his phone but realized he'd left it in Tyler's backpack to avoid it being in the shot. He tried pounding on the trunk, but the sound was swallowed by the roar of the engine. Back at the lot, Derek finally made the call. "There's been a kidnapping," he told the dispatcher. "Our friend's in the trunk." From inside the trunk, Ryan felt the car come to an abrupt stop, and then heard heavy footsteps approaching the back. The trunk popped open. Blinding light spilled in, and Ryan blinked up at a shadowy figure. The man didn't speak. He just stared at Ryan for a long moment before pulling something over his head, a black sack. Ryan struggled, muffled cries filling the night air. The trunk slammed shut again, and the car began moving once more. Meanwhile, police arrived at the parking lot. Emily recounted everything, her voice shaking. "We were just trying to scare our friend, but someone took him instead." Officers exchanged uneasy glances. If this stranger had planned the abduction, Ryan wasn't the intended victim, which meant he might not survive the night. Tyler's phone buzzed. A blocked number. When he answered, a low voice said, Wrong boy. But I can make it work. The voice on the other end was cold. Calm. You're going to do exactly what I say, the man said. Tyler's hands shook as he tried to keep the others quiet so the voice could be heard. The stranger demanded one thing: no police involvement. But it was already too late. The lot was swarming with officers, taking statements and searching the area. The man chuckled darkly when Tyler hesitated. He's already seen my face. That means he doesn't go home unless you make this worth my while. Emily grabbed the phone from Tyler. Please, he's just a kid. We didn't mean. But the line went dead. In the distance, Emily noticed a single headlight moving slowly down the street toward the woods. Ryan had no sense of direction. The sack over his head made it impossible to tell where he was being taken. When the car finally stopped, he was yanked out and dragged across uneven ground. Dirt crunched beneath his shoes. Branches whipped against his arms. The man tied him to a tree and removed the sack just long enough for Ryan to see a crude hunting cabin ahead, its windows boarded shut. Then the sack came down again. Back at the lot, police traced nearby traffic cameras and spotted the suspect's car heading toward the forest reserve. Officers moved quickly, but Tyler was already ahead of them. He grabbed his keys. If we wait, Ryan's dead, he said. Emily followed, knowing full well they might be walking into the same trap. Inside the cabin, Ryan heard the click of a lighter, followed by the smell of gasoline. The man's voice was steady. You've got 1 hour to get here. Alone. Or I burn it all. Tyler drove recklessly, Emily gripping the dash. She tried to convince him to let police handle it, but Tyler couldn't shake the guilt. This had started as his prank. Ryan's life was in his hands. Meanwhile, Ryan fought against the ropes, skin burning from the friction. He could hear liquid splashing onto the cabin floor. The man hummed softly to himself, as if this were routine. Back in town, police intercepted Tyler's car after tracking Emily's phone. The officer warned them that going in blind could get everyone killed. Tyler didn't care. Then let me go alone. The man lit a match and held it inches from the floor. 59 minutes left, he said. Police switched tactics, opening a direct line to the man. A negotiator tried to keep him talking, asking what he wanted. But the man's demands were strange. He wanted Tyler specifically, along with the prank footage they'd filmed earlier. Emily was stunned. Why would he care about that? The negotiator suspected the man had mistaken Ryan for someone else, and now believed the prank group had recorded something incriminating without realizing it. While police worked the phone, Tyler made a choice. He slipped out of the patrol car and headed toward the woods on foot. The man's voice crackled over the police radio. He's coming, just like I wanted. Tyler found the cabin after 20 minutes of hiking. The door was ajar. Smoke hung in the air, but no flames yet. Inside, Ryan sat bound to a chair, eyes wide. Standing behind him, the man finally pulled down his hood. Tyler's stomach dropped. It wasn't a stranger. It was Evan Blake, Max's older brother, recently released from prison. Funny prank you were planning, Evan sneered. Shame you picked the wrong night. Tyler stepped forward, but Evan pressed a knife to Ryan's throat. You want him back? Evan said. Then you're going to tell me everything you know about last summer. Tyler's mind raced. Last summer. The phrase alone made his stomach turn. He knew exactly what Evan was referring to, but he'd sworn never to speak of it again. Last July, during another one of Tyler's so-called harmless pranks, the group had filmed Max without his knowledge at a private lakeside party. They'd caught something strange in the background, a man, standing deep in the tree line, watching the party. They never thought much of it, until Max confided that his brother, Evan, had been out on parole at the time. Evan claimed they'd recorded something that could land him back in prison. Tyler had deleted the clip, or so he thought. But now, Evan believed they still had it. Tyler tried to buy time. The footage is gone. Evan's eyes narrowed. Then you better find it, before your friend bleeds out. Evan pulled a small hourglass from his pocket and set it on the table. Sand began to fall. 1 hour, Tyler. Tick-tock. Emily, still at the police perimeter, fought to convince them to storm the cabin. But the negotiator insisted that rushing in could provoke Evan into killing Ryan instantly. Inside, Tyler desperately searched his phone, his laptop, even old cloud backups, but the file was nowhere. That's when Ryan, voice trembling, spoke up. I think I know where it is. He explained that during the prank planning months ago, Emily had once transferred old videos to her spare SD card, which she'd never erased. If it was still in her bag, the clip might be there. Tyler called Emily, speaking in code to avoid tipping Evan off. She understood instantly, slipping away from the police to retrieve her backpack. Emily found the SD card, but there was more than one file on it, and one of them was labeled with a date from before last summer. Emily plugged the SD card into her phone. The first video was indeed the prank footage from last summer, showing Evan lurking at the lakeside party. But the second video chilled her to the bone. It was from 2 months earlier, showing Evan with another man, dragging an unconscious figure into the trunk of a car. The victim's face was never visible, but police could match the license plate. Emily realized the second clip was far more dangerous than the first. If Evan knew about it, Ryan wouldn't just be leverage, he'd be a loose end. She raced back to the command post, shoving the SD card into the negotiator's hands. Use this. End it now. Back at the cabin, Evan's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his expression changed. So, you do still have it. Outside, police began moving in. Snipers positioned themselves in the tree line. A SWAT team crept toward the cabin. Inside, Evan paced, his knife never leaving Ryan's throat. You have no idea what that video means, he snarled. It's not just me they'll come for, it's everyone involved. Tyler tried to reason with him, promising they could destroy the file. But Evan's paranoia was already spiraling. He pulled a gas can from under the table and began pouring it around the room. From outside, Emily could see faint wisps of smoke curling from the cabin's cracks. She screamed for the police to move faster. Evan struck a match, only for a flashbang to explode through the window, bathing the cabin in blinding white light. The room erupted in chaos. SWAT officers stormed in, tackling Evan before he could ignite the flames. Tyler rushed to untie Ryan, pulling him to safety. Both were coughing from the smoke, but alive. Outside, Emily ran to meet them, tears streaming down her face. Police took Evan into custody, but his final words to Tyler lingered. You think it's over? That video will bury more than just me. In the weeks that followed, the second clip was used to reopen a cold case involving a missing man from a neighboring town. Evan faced multiple charges, but investigators hinted there were other suspects still out there. Tyler, Emily, Ryan, and Derek never pulled another prank. They'd learned the hard way that some jokes don't just go too far. They open doors you can't close. If you found this story as chilling as we did, remember, sometimes the most dangerous situations begin with something that seems harmless. Stay safe, be aware, and never underestimate the consequences of your actions. For more real-life true crime stories that blur the line between the ordinary and the unthinkable, subscribe to True Crime Hub and turn on notifications.